This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
Yeah, so we basically make it really easy for brands to leverage athletes and sports within their marketing mix. Okay. So that could be social media, very influencer-esque, like, I'm going to pay an athlete to post on their social media or give me content. It could be something bigger.
Another episode of the Media Boss Podcast. My name is Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I want to welcome you here. If this is your first time here, let me tell you what the Media Boss Podcast is about. Here's the thing. You may have a business, and it may be doing great, but you may need more reach. Let me just put it to you this way. I think everyone out there can have more business, can have more clients. You may feel that you are busy right now, but it doesn't mean that there aren't more people in this world who want to pay you for what you do. The problem is you may not be maximizing all of media. You may have a great social media following, but guess what? There are people in this world who don't use social media. I know that's hard to believe. There are people in this world who don't follow social media. You may have a great podcast, but everybody doesn't listen to podcasts. So what I do at Media Boss is I show you how you can use all forms of media to make it so that everyone can find you in the medium that they use. Now, the great thing about it is I have fantastic guests who come on here and talk about what they do in the world of media. And just like every other episode, I have a great guest today. And I know you're thinking, Barrett, you always say you have great guests. Well, I can't help it if all my friends are cool. So, you just have to deal with that. Now, I also want to tell you, if this is your first time here, or if it's your second or third time here, make sure you're sharing it with people and let everyone know that you are listening to the Media Boss Podcast and that everyone should subscribe, rate us, give us a great review. Let us know that you love the Media Boss Podcast. So like I start off every single show the same way. And what I do is I give what I call a media minute. That's right. A media minute is where I just take a little bit of time and talk about something in media that can probably help you. So I saw an article, and it's an article that I saw on Native News Online, and it's about how to go viral on Instagram Reels rather. There's 5 tips on how to go viral on Instagram Reels. So the first tip is following trends is important, but mold them in your style. And we're all looking to follow the hot trend, but guess what? If people know that you're just copying directly that someone else is doing, they're not going to be interested in you. They'll go to them. You can find a way to mimic what they do and put it in your style. Make it work for you. Put your brand on it. Number 2, use hashtags. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've told people use hashtags, and people have told me use hashtags. From what I understand, there's not too many of them you can use. Now, number 3, be consistent. I was talking to someone the other day about what they were doing on social media, and they said they weren't getting results yet. They just started. I said, just stay consistent. Consistency is the key. And number 4, market yourself well. Make sure that you are putting things out there that will attract people to you. A lot of people are worried about their brand. Let me tell you something about your brand. Your brand is what other people say about you. Marketing is what you say about you to make them interested in your brand. Okay, and number 5, create high quality, useful content. It's wonderful to have great content, but if nobody can use it, if it's not practical, then it's not going to really carry much weight and people are not going to come back to you for more. So those are what I have going for you for our Media Minute today. And like I said, man, it's just some great information I think you guys can use. So guys, I mentioned to you earlier, I have a great guest. And I'm not lying. You're going to see, I'm not lying. I bring on some superstars. This guest I have here today, she was on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, a sports list, 30 under 30 sports list. Can you imagine that? Wow. When I was under 30, well, that's a long time ago. Anyway, she raised venture capital funding for Serena Williams and David Blitzer. I told you, I'm bringing some heavy hitters for you. She also runs the largest marketplace for sports sponsorship with over, check this out, 15,000 athletes. I didn't stutter, 15,000 athletes. And she runs the affiliate influencer program for Walmart, ABG, Kroger, Texas Roadhouse, and more. So without any further ado, guys, I want to bring to you here, That's right. Here on the Media Boss podcast, none other than Ishveen Jolly. Ishveen, welcome to the Media Boss podcast.
Thanks for having me, Barrett. How are you?
I am doing marvelously well and improving. And I was telling people before, I've worked in sports media before, but you are taking it to another level. And you know some things about sponsorship that I never, ever knew. And the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast is because a lot of people, I know you know this, people who have podcasts are always talking about sponsorship. People who have streaming TV shows are always talking about sponsorship. But I'm finding that most people don't really understand the game of sponsorship. And am I correct in saying that?
I think everyone has their own perception, but yeah, 360 probably. There's a lot left on the table.
Okay, so I want to ask you, how did you get into the world of sports, first of all?
I joined the sports world back in 2009. I used to play a lot. I was like a student athlete. I was like, sports was everything for me. And then after a few years as a management consultant, I realized that, my passion was sports and I wanted to work in the industry. So that's kind of how I got into it.
So, I got to ask, where did you play?
Yeah, well, you probably wouldn't know that. Obviously, I grew up in England, so netball and cricket predominantly.
Okay. I didn't know if I followed you, but I just wanted to know what you played.
Yeah.
So, while you were working after you finished your athletic career, what made you get into the business, or how did you get into the business?
I started in the sponsorship world, and it wasn't because I necessarily was focused on being in sponsorship, but it just so happened. I didn't really know much about it. But once I joined the sponsorship world as a kind of newbie, I fell in love. I thought sponsorship is like one of the best forms of marketing there is. I mean, for a brand to be able to literally pay to have their logo on the shirt of a team as they win the World Cup or whatever they're doing, or to be able to pay athletes, and then literally these are your childhood favorites or whatever else. It's just the proximity that sponsorship gets a brand to the field of play, for me, was amazing.
That's cool. That's a totally different perspective than I think a lot of people look at it. Just what you just said there, to have someone's label on somebody's jersey or something like that. That's something I never thought about, how people look at sponsorship. Most people look at it as money, but you're looking at it from brand recognition standpoint, and that's a different viewpoint, I think, than a lot of people do. So that's cool.
I would say not only just brand recognition, but it's like the emotion, right? Like those moments will live forever. The losing, the winning, the random points or whatever else, and you're part of that moment. Your brand is part of that moment. That's powerful.
That is powerful. That is true. And it'll, the way we are now with our video age and so forth, when you see a clip of something, of some team or a race car or whatever, and they're winning, you see that brand. And you're right, because the emotion is attached to that as well. That is cool. Now, I have to ask you, because I gotta praise you for your recognition. 30 for 30, or 30 under 30 in the sports list. Forbes sports list. How did that come about?
I had spoken to someone at Forbes when I first launched the company, and obviously we're tech, and he was a sports journalist, and he was like, look, I don't really know much about the tech world. I'm a sports journalist, but it sounds like what you're doing is interesting. And he therefore just nominated me internally to the journalist that was actually covering the list. So it was random, fortuitous. It was amazing.
And it sounds like you were like, okay, really? What? I get it. So, but the thing is that is to be applauded. I mean, that's something incredible. I mean, wow.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I mean that in all sincerity. Now, you had to deal with. I noticed that we had in your bio, you raised venture capital funding for Serena Williams and David Blitzer. Can you talk on that any?
Yeah. So we last year we raised a growth round. So it was our second round, and We met through the network various people, and David and Serena wrote our biggest checks. So it was amazing. The opportunity to obviously pitch her and her team was brilliant. They completely understood what we were doing. And obviously the same with David Blitzer's family office, like brilliant team over there. Great guys who back us and believe in our vision.
That is cool. That is cool. Now, do you ever get starstruck with anyone?
I mean, I can appreciate how amazing it is, but it's I suppose you have your work hat on, so it's different.
I got you. And like I said, I used to work in CBS Sports. I would see athletes come through there, and I remember people asking me, "Was I starstruck?" And I'm like, "Well, I see them all the time, so and I'm going to be working with them, so no." Maybe work with them. I don't see them. I mean, I had some great conversations with them about some of the games they played, but other than that, no, I wasn't really starstruck with any of them. Now,
yeah,
with you, you happen to be extremely successful as far as your sponsorship. The largest marketplace for sponsorship with over 15,000 clients. Amazing, first of all. Freaking amazing. How long did it take to accumulate that many clients and athletes?
I mean, well, we've been going since like early 2015 with the platform. So a long time. But to be honest, I think we could be even larger in terms of athletes, but you also want to make sure that your athletes get deals. So we actually spend a lot of time focused on the brand side and onboarding brands. And so let's say we have a brand come on and they want Peloton instructors and we don't have them. So then we'll go get them. So because we have enough athletes, we don't necessarily focus as much on building more and more supply versus trying to get deals done now.
Okay. So when you got into the sponsorship world, as far as you're running your business like that, what kind of struggles did you run into?
Gosh, so many. I mean, you're constantly struggling as a entrepreneur, but you know, of course, like I'm not technical, so I had to find a technical partner, co-founder. So that's its struggle. Raising money is tough. Even how to price your product is really tough. So convincing people that they should do sponsorship if they don't already. Why athletes? So I think there's a lot of things that we've had to overcome. But you know, you continue to face things.
So what is the one thing that you feel that when you started dealing with the sponsorship business that you might have struggled with, but now it's like a piece of cake for you?
It's a good question. I'd say pitching the company and like the why. I think when you first start, you're just trying to hone in on like the messaging and who's the perfect customer. Whereas I feel like now, you know, well, it's probably everyone, but like, you know, really, we do really well with like D2C brands, companies that have never done sports before, where we're teaching them how to think about sponsorship, people who are looking for new ways of marketing, but want to like test it out. Like we're a great way to test sponsorship. So I think the like who we work for and why is much clearer now than it was obviously when we started.
So and correct me if I'm wrong here. So what you're doing is you're matching up this brand with particular athletes to make sure that they are a good partnership, correct?
Yeah, so we basically make it really easy for brands to leverage athletes and sports within their marketing mix. So that could be social media, very influencer-esque, like, you know, I'm going to pay an athlete to post on their social media or give me content. It could be something bigger. It could be a team deal. But essentially, sponsorship has always been perceived and was very, very difficult to do. And we make it easy, data-driven, ROI-driven, successful.
I love that. Because, and that's what people want to hear. So I'm glad that you're saying that, because I'm going to make sure that, you know, people find out more about what you're doing, because I think it's incredible. And I like to see that, you know, that you're building these brands, but building these athletes. I've always been a pro athlete in these things. So I just like to see the athletes win. and because I think they get a bad rap a lot of the times on certain things. So I like that you're doing that. Do you have a certain, I don't know, the best way I can put it is, do you have a way that you go about getting business that other people don't have, or do you have like a certain hook that you use that you can share that other people aren't using, or something that you do that's unique about your company?
I don't think we have something different. We do a good amount of both outbound and inbound. So we don't focus too much on one. So, we've got a sales team, and they're emailing people. They are, LinkedIn messaging. They're doing all the outbound strategies very well. And then we also work on inbound, where we do Facebook ads and Google ads and SEO. So I think we just try everything really to see what works, and everything's always changing. Yesterday Facebook may be amazing, tomorrow it may be something else, right? Before emailing was great, now people get a million emails and don't respond. So yeah, I think you have to keep evolving and trying and testing new things.
Now I know you're in London right now. Is your hub in London, or are you
No, in America?
In America, okay. So, but you can do business anywhere, so that's cool. And isn't that a great thing about the world we're in today?
Yeah, 100%. And it's lovely because we were fully in New York. We had an office there. I'd work there every day of the week, kind of thing. And then obviously COVID hit, we went remote. And the beautiful thing about that is we're able to hire the best talent across the US. You could say globally, but mostly the US. And that's amazing. It's like diversity of thought, diversity of geography, everything.
So did COVID actually, as far as business wise, did it give you guys a boost because of that, or?
I mean, look, there's obviously pros and cons, right, of everything. So, there were definitely hard parts of COVID, but being able to go remote was great. A lot of marketing dollars shifted digital, and that's where we operate a lot. So that was helpful. So I think, but then, we had a lot of clients who laid off their marketing teams. And so suddenly we lost clients because the person we worked with no longer works there, right? Or got furloughed. So I think there's, as everyone would say, there were pluses and negatives for COVID beyond the medical and, everything else.
Yeah, of course. Definitely that was never positive, but yeah. And I only say that because I know a lot of people, well, in every type of tragedy, there comes opportunity. And you some people capitalize on the opportunity, some people wallow in the tragedy. And there's opportunity because a lot of people got used to being on their computers talking to people all day long. And some people said, oh God, business is down. Other people said, well, this is an opportunity for me to keep business going. So that's why I brought up that question. Now, as far as you and what you're doing right now with your business, do you find that people, and going back with the COVID as well, do you find that in general, people are seeing sponsorships go up or down, or is there any trends going on with the industry?
Sponsorship as an industry is growing pretty well. I think it could do better. I think the athlete side could do better. Influencer marketing is growing faster than I think athlete sponsorship is growing. And I think that's because, people think about athletes and which is a lot of the stuff we're trying to fix. They think it's too complicated, too expensive. It doesn't produce a return. So, I'd still like to see a lot more growth on the athlete side of things. But as a whole, the awareness of sports and sports and entertainment marketing and the need to invest in it is growing.
Interesting. That is very interesting. And I didn't, what you said about influencer marketing, that makes me think. It definitely makes me think, because that's another area that people are really growing in, the influencer market. I didn't even think about that. So you do a lot of influencer programs, I take it.
Yeah, a lot of our work is we work with the influencer marketing title, and a lot of the campaigns are part of an influencer marketing program. Gotcha.
So everybody, I just want to let you know right now, you're listening to the Media Boss podcast, and my guest here is Ishveen Jolly. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back because I want to find out what other things she's doing in the world of media. So, guys, what I want you to do is stay right there, and we'll be right back with more of the Media Boss podcast. How are you going to learn everything you need to know about starting a podcast? Well, at the Create Your Podcast Weekend, we put it all in 2 days and help you get your podcast going by next week. That's right, by next week. All you have to do is come to the Create Your Podcast Weekend and let us show you how to get your podcast up and running. We will show you how to attract listeners. We will show you how to get people to pay you for your products and services. What products and services? The products and services we show you how to create, all at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. All you have to do is go to createyourpodcastweekend.com and get registered today. And we have special bonuses. Some of you will even get us to give you the equipment to start your podcast. That's right. We're going to give some of you the podcasting equipment to get started. Go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. That's createyourpodcastweekend.com and get started on your podcast by next week. Starting a podcast can be a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're probably wondering if you're able to handle it. Well, why don't you just take 2 days and let us teach you how to do it at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. That's right. We're going to show you all the aspects of how to start your podcast, how to keep your podcast going, how to attract listeners, and how to make money with your podcast. CreateYourPodcastWeekend.com. Get registered right now. Everybody, welcome back to the Media Boss podcast. I told you my guest was fantastic. You're learning some things about sponsorship. Man, Ishveen Jolly is here. She didn't go anywhere. We just took a quick break, but she is here with us. And we were talking about sponsorship. But Ishveen, you're working on a lot of other things too, and that can be tied into media, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're launching music pretty soon as a vertical, so that's pretty exciting. And then international is growing for us, obviously, with me moving to London, like a big focus. And then we were very focused on the athlete, but we're also now looking at team and event sponsorship. So lots of things in the fire right now.
That is cool. So, okay, how did you get into the music side of it?
A few different reasons. One is it's very complementary. So a lot of the agencies we work with have music artists as well as athletes. The brands, they're the same buyer, so it makes sense. We also had a band on our website who signed up as an athlete, but they're actually a music band, and they had done tons of deals with us. And so I think that gave us a lot of confidence that actually, A, brands want to do music deals, and B, we can facilitate this.
Got it. And that's incredible. So I want to, before we wrap up with you, I want to ask you, is there something that you have going on that you would like to let our audience know about that they can take part in or at least follow you on?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I would love for everyone to check us out. I think a lot of people think it's too good to be true, that you can get to a website, sign up, and literally send a proposal or a job offer to NFL players, NBA players, tennis, golf, whoever it may be. And we have athletes that charge $200. And then obviously we have athletes that charge $2 million, right? And everything in between. So I would say I would love for everyone to check us out, opensponsorship.com. Or if you know anyone who is a CEO, a business owner, or a marketing person, to just pass the message on.
Well, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be. I have some people who are connected in that field. So yeah, definitely want to do that. So Ishveen, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Media Boss podcast. I greatly appreciate your time, and maybe I can get over across the pond one day and get to meet up with you sometime. So,
that'd be great. Thank you, Barrett. Awesome.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. Everyone, that's Ishveen Jolly. Make sure you check her out. Make sure you support whatever it is she's doing. And now we're not done with the Media Boss podcast. We got a couple more minutes to go. First thing I want to do, guys, is I want to give you guys something to show my appreciation. I want you to go to 5waystoPayingClients.com. That's 5waystoPayingClients.com. It is my complimentary training I'm giving to you guys to show you how you can pick up on a lot of those clients you may have been missing out on. Now, what we're going to do right now, you take a look at that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of the Media Boss Podcast. Why should you contact Media Boss Club right now? Well, because you can get a podcast done for you. You can learn all the aspects that go into putting together a great podcast and have someone else do it for you. That's right. We will build your podcast around your content and make it so you can concentrate on the money-making activities of your business. Contact MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com today, and let us get your podcast started right now. Let's face it, you've been talking about starting a podcast for quite some time, but you haven't started yet. Why is that? Could it be that you just don't have the time because your day-to-day keeps you so busy? Or could it be that you don't want to learn all the technical aspects that go into putting together a quality podcast? Well, at Media Boss Club, we take care of that for you. How would you like to have a done-for-you experience? That's right. At Media Boss Club, we build your podcast for you. We will edit your podcast. We will put in the music for you. We even put in commercial breaks that you can put your advertisers in. We will take care of all of the uploading to the great podcast platforms that are out there. That's right, we do everything. All you have to do is just right now go to MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com, and let us handle the heavy lifting for you. Welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. Man, that was great. Ishveen Jolly was here. It was a fantastic time we had with her. Ishveen was fantastic. And I want you guys, like she said, I want you guys to support and go to Open Sponsorship. Make sure that you check them all out and see what they have going on. Also, guys, what we want to do is have you guys support the show. Make sure you're supporting the show, please, because the Media Boss Podcast needs your support. So rate and review us, rate and review the show. Make sure you give us a good review, of course. Also, we want to have you guys to go to our Patreon account. You can support us on Patreon. We also want to have you guys support us in ways that, other ways that you can go to email, go to just tell us you love us, do all types of it. But make sure you take that complimentary gift I gave you as well. 5 ways to paying clients. Now, for those of you who want to really learn about how to be a media boss, I want you to take my challenge. It's the Make Money from Media Challenge. The Make Money from Media Challenge. How do you do that? Go to MakeMoneyFromMediaChallenge.com. MakeMoneyFromMediaChallenge.com. Get signed up, take the challenge, and it's 5 days. You will learn how to take advantage of all the media that's out there for you. If you want to learn how to have your own podcast, just like we have our Media Boss, you want to just talk about what we have going on, see if there's anything that we can do to help you to get more exposure, go ahead and text me. Text the word podcast. Text the word podcast to 929-244-4323. 929-244-4323. Or you can text the word strategy to the same number. Text strategy and we'll give you a strategy session. But I also want to make sure you guys are subscribing to the Media Boss Podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. And you know what we do. Every time we end a Media Boss Podcast episode, we just say the same thing, right? Media Boss out.